Hey there, Munchie Mafia. It is a stormy Saturday here in Western Washington. So today we are making some risotto from scratch. We've got some oyster mushrooms, we have shallots, some Asiago, and a little bit of asparagus. I scored some beautiful asparagus from the farmer's market the other day, and so that's what we're going to be using for that. We also have some fennel frond and parsley, garlic that's already been minced up, and now we're going to go for it. So I've got my sauteuse pan already preheating, and now we're going to just give it a check and see how it's doing. Drop some rice in there, and we got a little bit of a sizzle, so we're going to go for it. So this is, you probably want lots of rice. So one of my mentors, his name is Neil Mazzaro, and he used to work here in the Seattle area, and has since moved back to his hometown of New York. Once told me that when you're making risotto, you want to make sure that you don't overly stir it, or else you end up releasing the starches. So we're going to toast it and toast it and toast it, but then we're going to move it around just gently with a spatula so that it does not get all broken up. And that's pretty much his big thing, was let it dance in the pan and always get this going before you start adding all your other ingredients, because you want to start to develop layers in your risotto just like you would if it were just a regular dish. We're going to be using vegetable stock, and we've got these oyster mushrooms. Let's see, I forgot to grab a little bowl for my little asparagus tips. So let's grab a little bowl so that we can just have it all right there and ready to go. So this weekend we got a whole bunch of other stuff going on. We have chicken cacciatore and Terrace Major, which is also known as a bistro filet. It has a little bit more fat content to it than the filet mignon, but it has a very, very similar texture, and it has all sorts of more beefy flavor to it, in my opinion. This fat content is really important. So unfortunately, I have a electric stove. This is going to take a little while, a little longer than I had anticipated. So I hope everybody is doing well tonight. Can't wait to see you all later on during the premiere. We can have a little watch party, probably while Timmy and I are eating this. The seafood that we're going to be pairing with this is going to be scallops, cod, shrimp, and that salmon belly. Remember a while back we made some something with salmon. I think we just did a pan-seared salmon. And so what we're going to do is we're going to use that salmon belly that I saved out to help bring or tie the room together with this risotto. Yes, it's going to tie the room together. So while that is doing its thing, I'm just going to come over here and break up that salmon belly, because it's a little sad looking because it's salmon belly. I figured it would be nice to have a little bit of that tied into the risotto. So we had a little bit of everything today for weather. And so I'm running a little bit late, and I hope you all forgive me. We had a storm roll in, then it looked like it was going to stop, and then it didn't. Started up again, and then now it's sunny out again. We've had a little bit of everything. We had torrential downpour, spring showers, hail, lightning, and huh? Oh, I'm just cutting this all up, and a little bit of wind. So I'm just cutting this up into little tiny pieces. I'd forgotten all about it. All right, so now we're going to come back over here, and like I said, we're going to go and check this out. It's getting a little on the toasty brown side. And this is about the time that we're going to want to start adding the shallot. And I like to get mine a little more golden than what others like to do with theirs. They expect it to be a stark white, but having a little bit of that golden kernel in there is kind of nice. It's almost like a rice pilaf of sorts. So now we got our shallot in there. We're going to start with our mushrooms next. And we want to give it a lot of aromatic as much as humanly possible. So now we're going to take our garlic. We're going to start incorporating that in there, but we're going to want to turn the oven or the stove down just a little bit so that we don't burn that garlic, or else we're going to have to start over, and then I'm just going to have to scrap it because this is the last of my risotto, unless I use farro, which you can do if you're not into rice. All right. So now that we got that going, we're actually gonna start to hit it with some wine. This is Marsala. Big fan of Marsala. I'll probably turn the fan on. Okay. Wow. Sorry we haven't set off the fire alarm yet. And we don't want to add the asparagus too soon, or else it gets mushy. And if you're not a fan of asparagus, you can also use some spring peas. Okay. So now we got that all nice. And we're going to start hitting it with some vegetable stock. Like I said, you don't want to stir it too much. You want to just hit it a little bit at a time. And just move it in the pan. You want it to dance. Okay? Like prom night. Two teenagers not knowing what to do with themselves, really. And they're a little awkward socially. At least back in my day. When you start feeling it kind of wanting to stick to the pan a little bit, just go hit it with a little bit more. And we're just going to just keep adding and adding and adding and adding and adding. And this will get nice and done. So now that we've gotten that, I'm just going to let it get happy for a little bit. I'm going I'm going to actually use my non-stick pan. I'm actually quite surprised with this pan. It says I don't remember what brand this is. Anyway, so I've had this pan for a few years now, and it still is nonstick. I put it through the dishwasher every single time. I tried abusing it, and it's actually pretty good. Um, Still is nonstick. Now the sawtooth pan, on the other hand, I've had this thing for decades. I think this is actually older than my children. All right, we're just gonna let it do its thing for a little while longer. And the way you tell if risotto is done is just periodically go in and grab a kernel and pinch it between your fingers and you release it. If you see 3 white spots, that's al dente. That's about the texture that you want is al dente. All right, let's add a little bit more. And actually, I get salmon in there. Nice, nice little tiny chunks. Should help with the flavor. A little salt. You always want to salt as you go. Contrary to belief, you do not hit this with any kind of cream, unless you want to finish it with a little bit of cream, which is fine. We're just going to help it move along, just like so. Probably going to need a little bit of water. We used to work at an Italian restaurant, and we used to have to make this in a huge pot. And have to sit there and babysit this stuff forever, and we would then pick it up on the stove. Okay, so there we go. Move it around a little bit more. A little bit more veggie. The fennel fronds, what I like to do is I like to just pluck the delicate leaves off. It's the fennel tops. We're going to actually use the fennel for our cacciatore dish. I was talking to Chef Neil this morning briefly. He's 3 hours ahead, so it's kind of hard to get a hold of him. But he's like, "Oh no, I put a little bit of fennel in it. Just saute a little fennel." I'm like, "Okay, all right." The man is brilliant. All right, so we're gonna start adding that fennel right to it, and you just chop it up a little bit. You're gonna get a little bit of that licorice flavor. We still have some liquid down in there. I know we're nowhere near done, but let's take a look. Yeah. Whoops. It flew away. So we're not ready. All right, let's just add a little bit more. Sorry, choking allergy nasal spray. Been struggling with allergies this year. Trying to give the nasal spray just one more chance before I go and try to find another one. This Allegra's not working for me. So if anybody has an allergy, over-the-counter allergy medication that you recommend, I'd be more than happy to hear all about it. All right, so we're just gonna let that do its thing for a little while. Gonna get rid of this. Actually, I'm not gonna. Well, yeah, I'm gonna get rid of that. Put that over there. All right, so we got liquid at the bottom of the pan, so we just want to let it do its thing. We don't want to mess with it too much. Mussing is not a good thing. So I know I said that we were going to do this premiere at 6 o'clock. We might be going. We might be a little late, as per usual. So I can never be on time, right? Honestly, was not expecting the weather to be so volatile today, but I didn't want to going to go out in that nonsense. So here in Washington State, it's coming up on cherry season. I scored some beautiful, beautiful cherries. So with the Terrace Major, I'm going to be showing you how to make a cherry gastrique. And we're going to be serving that with cherry gastrique and some little baby potatoes roasted and some more asparagus. Because asparagus, love asparagus. Okay, so we're just going to turn this. See, I'm not stirring it, I'm just turning, pulling anything off from the sides, bringing it to the center, even it out. There we go. Lightning tracker, 15 miles. Wow. Got another storm coming in. So my week at work was a little interesting to say the least. It's standing on the hotline side, and I was taking care of some stuff, and um, one of my trustees was like saying something to me, but because of all the noise coming from the dish pit and um, the hood system, because I got this huge ass hood system. I mean, the thing is huge. I don't even think the hood system could fit in this kitchen. That's how huge it is. And and he says something to me. I said, "What?" And so he repeats himself, and I'm confused because I'm like looking at him like, I you're doing what? And so he walks over a little closer because I was motioning to him to come closer so I could actually hear him over all this noise in the kitchen. Oh my god, that cheese is so good. Um, wow. Um, and so he repeats himself a third time, and I'm like, "Oh, good God." I start chuckling, and he's like, "What's so funny?" I said, "I honestly, I thought you told me you were going to go volunteer at an animal sanctuary. Where I got that where the hell did you get that from?" And I'm like, "That's what I'm about ready to tell you. I don't know where the hell that came from, but honest to goodness, that's what it sounded like. This is comedy embarrassment at work." So we had a chuckle about that. So his new kitchen name is Steve Irwin. I'm calling him Steve Irwin. Um, and I said, "Just hurry up and go to the bathroom and get back here quickly." So he did, and he comes back, and we're all giggling about that. The whole, his new kitchen nickname is Steve Irwin, and he's going to go and volunteer at an animal sanctuary. And I never really paid much attention to his tattoos. He sure paid a lot of attention to my tattoos, but he had this beautiful lioness on his arm, and it was just all black ink. There was no shading, no color, nothing. Um, Actually, no, it had shading, but it wasn't like it was just black and gray. And I love black and gray tattoos, and the line work and detail was just stunning. And so he goes, "I could go and work at a animal sanctuary." I said, "Yeah, you could." So I underestimated the amount of stock that I needed, so we're just gonna add a little bit of water to it. But that's okay because that cheese is really gonna finish tying that room together. Plus, we had that salmon in here. And we're just gonna give it a twirly twirly in the pan. It's pretty close. We got like 15 minutes, maybe 10. Should probably get this rear one started. Because, like I said, we've got scallops, we've got shrimps, and cod. And scallops take very little time at all. So we're going to start with the cod first, then add the shrimp, and then finish with the scallop. Should probably get a rack out. If I can find a rack. No, of course it has to be all the way down there. Nope, no rack there. Hi, kitty. So I'm just gonna, we'll just wing it. We're starting to get stickage down there. So move it away from the stickage and give it a splash of water. You can also use clam nectar or clam liquor, however way you want to look at it. And a little bit more salt. Crack a little bit of pepper. You don't want to crack your pepper too soon. There is such a thing as burning pepper. The other thing you can do is you can add bay leaf if you want. No, we've taken it from the bottom. Ow, 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 ow. We're pretty close. Mm, got a lot of flavor. That salmon is really, really helping it a lot. There's a lot of different schools as far as is it supposed to be able to stand up on its own, or should it be a little on the loose side? Um, yes and yes. It should be a little on the loose side, but you don't want it so loose that it looks like rice porridge. You want it to have some body, but not too much. So we have our nonstick pan preheating right now. As soon as that pan preheats, it should be enough to be able to move this over and let it finish in the back, so we can get this party started. You know what I mean? Oh, and the disappearing sandwich. I know I talked about it on Discord. Um, they were seriously messing with me. I think. No, I know. I believe that they were, just totally messing with me. So we make these sandwiches, and um, they sit as bag lunches in the refrigerator, um, for when there's no kitchen staff in to get them a meal. And because it's late at night or very early in the morning when they get brought into the jail, or if somebody goes out to urgent care or emergency room or something and gets brought back very, very late in the night and they're hungry, they get a sack lunch and have a sack to eat. Well, I have to keep track of the counts, so I have certain pars set for during the weekday. We rarely ever go beyond 5. Um, we very rarely ever go beyond 10 on the weekend, but we go more than 5 on the weekends. Um, this will be my first summer, so I don't know how much more different it's going to be in the summertime. I would have thought that it would be less people coming into the jail because it's warmer weather out, but apparently that's not the case. Okay, just gonna give another splash of water. I'm gonna turn this down a little bit. It really smells delicious. And so I walked in Friday morning, or no, Thursday morning, and there were 2 sandwiches left out of 5. And so I wrote down on my counts list so that I could keep track of, the billing and everything, and proceeded to write it up on the whiteboard and put it on the task list for the trustees to make these sack lunches to refill our little thing. So I go outside to go and take care of the starting of my inventory, and I come back in, and it was time to let the trustees into the kitchen, and so I let them into the kitchen, and then noticed that one of the sacks was missing. This was before lunch, and I thought, huh, interesting. Maybe they're sending somebody out to court or something. Whoops. And they need to send him off with a sack lunch. So then a little while later, or actually no, I'll backtrack that a little bit. So I went to my desk, took out my sheet, scribbled out the number, wrote in the new number, set it on my desk, did that in triplicate, went back, served out lunch, went to the kitchen, and here I was. Um, or I went into the walk-in, and there I was standing there. I'm like, huh, that's weird. Two sandwiches. So back to my desk. So back in triplicate. I come back to the kitchen, and then I'm like, we go to lunch. One sandwich is gone. Okay. Half hour later, I go back. There's two sandwiches again. Getting upset. So I'm arguing with one of the trustees who thinks it's funny and is thoroughly convinced that I've gone crazy. I'm like, I'm not crazy. I know what I saw. I know what I saw. You can't tell me that it's been like that we only have one sandwich all day. And then in comes one of the corrections officers, and he grabs the last sandwich stack. I'm like, and he's like looking at me a little puzzled because why am I standing here, waving my hands about? Because when I get very animated, I like to talk with my hands a lot, and you can tell that I'm upset. And he's like, "Well, we could go back and watch the cameras." I'm like, "Well, what's that going to do? That's not going to tell us who keeps bringing these things back." Um, and I think somebody took them and brought them back. It's like, no, nobody did that, but we can watch the cameras. I'm like, it's not going to help. Okay, so we should have a preheated pan back here, and of course, this is not sitting straight. So now we're going to drop it in the oil. Presentation side down. And we want to get a nice, pretty sear on this. And while that's doing its thing, we're going to go over here and check up on our risotto. Pop that in the back. We want to see the fish now. So you want to aggressively season the presentation side. That salt will help to release some of that moisture, and it will help to get that nice and caramelized. So we don't want to do anything else with our scallops. You don't want to season them too soon because you want to be able to keep that moisture in the scallop because they start to weep as soon as you give them salt. And when you're dealing with fresh scallops, you want to make sure when you go to take them out of the shell, you get rid of the little foot. So you can actually trim those off. These ones are already pre-trimmed. My other colleague, Chef Gil, we're like, no, you got to make sure that you tell them that you got to take care of that little foot. You don't want that little foot in there. I'm like, whatever. There's no foot on them. Nothing to demonstrate. Okay, so now we're gonna take a look at our fish. Yeah. Whoops, that was not the presentation side. Oh well. We're not getting a very good steer on these. Um, we're gonna let them do its thing a little more longer. So we'll check our risotto. We're gonna flippy, flippy, flippy. Like I said, you don't want to stir. Stirry, stirry, stirry is not a good thing. We're gonna actually reduce the temperature on the stove for the risotto. We're gonna just let it do its thing. I've long since lost the lid to these pans to my Belgiques. I don't even think Belgique is even in existence anymore, but it was a damn good pan for its time. I think the presentation side was a little watered down. Um, so let me turn that up a little bit. Let that do its thing. Give it a little bit more salt. Have my glasses on today, so couldn't quite tell. I should have popped them off real quick to take a look. All right. Our risotto is starting to get a little on the thicky side. All right, I didn't go over to the butcher shop to get the prawns that I wanted. I decided for $20 a pound. But like they were like they looked like little mini lobsters. They were so freaking huge. I was a little bit disappointed with the news the other day. They're already putting the kibosh on shellfish harvesting because of toxic algae blooms. I'm like, oh no, but it's all the Oregon coast and Washington coast. Hi, okay. So we're in the Puget Sound region. I gotta look and see what the deal is with that. Okay, flippy, flippy, flippy. Oh yeah, and we got 3 white spots. So we're at al dente right now. So we're just gonna work on our seafood. Smidge more oil. And it's just extra virgin olive oil. You can use any kind of oil you want. Some of the oils have a higher smoke point. It just depends on your preference. Some people have that avocado oil because they like a good fat. Some people like coconut oil. But you have to be very careful with your coconut oil. Always keep your coconut oil refrigerated because it does go rancid. If you don't use it all that frequently, put it in the fridge so that it doesn't go rancid on you. All right. All right, I'm going to switch back over to the risotto because I'm going to start hitting that with cheese. You see, as you can see, it's got some body, but it's not enough to not enough to um, be too stiff. So now we're going to alternate with butter, knobs of butter. This is all the dairy that you really need. A couple knobs of butter. This is like half of a stick of butter, and then the Asiago. Now you don't want to add it all at one time. You want to just gradually add it and fold, add and fold, and fold, and fold. I probably added my asparagus a little too soon, like maybe 10 minutes too soon. You know, if you're cooking this in advance and you want to be able to bring it back, you can by all means put a little smidge of cream in there, or just add water. Entirely up to you. Tracy, I don't have time for you right now. I'm sorry. I guess apparently the new trays that I asked for have come in. She sent me a text message saying the sergeant came in with these new trays to replace the hard ones. What do you think? I'm like, I don't know. I can't. I'm not seeing a photo. Okay, so now we got some cheese in there. We got some butter in there. Gonna take a look at our fish. The fish is doing well. You know, cod has a tendency to have quite a bit of quite a bit of a problem with parasites. So you always want to make sure that your cod is fully brought to temp. There's no shame in sticking a thermometer in a cod because stick a thermometer in it just to check temps is far safer than saying than giving it a little press with your finger and say, oh, that feels good, feels nice and firm, yada yada yada, only to find out that it could have used like 3 more degrees. And then you end up with worms. It's not fun. Had intestinal parasite before, long time ago. Went to the Philippines to visit family. Ended up sick as a dog on the 13th floor of the Manila Hilton Hotel during a really major earthquake. And I remember looking up from the bed and seeing the chandelier above the credenza swinging. And I didn't really think anything of it because the whole room was spinning for me. I was very, very violently ill. And it was the last part of our vacation, so we were um, headed for home. All right, this can't take on any more water. Our fish is looking nice and beautiful and golden. I'm gonna pop it back over here in just a moment. I just don't want this to overcook, so we're gonna just set that aside right there. I'm gonna pop this over here, see what it's doing. It's got a nice Maillard reaction, not nearly as much as I would like to see, but you know, electric stove, non-stick pan. Um, Sometimes you don't always get the nice, pretty golden brown, delicious color that you want, and it's not firmed up quite enough, but it's quite enough to start, you know, adding up our shrimp. Now these are just run-of-the-mill shrimps. I didn't go and get those beautiful, beautiful ones over at the butcher shop that I wanted to get, where I got the scallops. It's going to go in afterwards after these are done. Um, we don't want to add those too soon. This beautiful scallop only takes maybe 90 seconds at best, and I mean at best, like at best. All right, so I'm gonna go over here and stir this because that burner is electric burner, so it's gonna stay warm before it starts to cool down, it's just going to keep putting out heat. We don't want it to burn on the bottom. It's got a nice, thing. You can't really see it too well. Man, I'm going to have to clean this entire stove when I'm done with this. Spatter everywhere. So now we're going to just, if we want, we could hit it with a little bit of wine too. Or we could just hit it with some lemon juice, which I would prefer to use lemon juice. So, these are giant lemons. Make sure there's no seeds. That's going to help to release some of that bits of goodie right there that we've got. Add some salt to our shrimpies. Now, when it comes to how do you know shrimp is cooked? Well, there's the way I explain it is if it makes a C shape, it's cooked. If it makes an O shape like that, it's overcooked. But sometimes that could lie to you, especially with these, because these were previously frozen. We just want to just get those nice and pinked up. And we're going to let it rest while we turn the pan back up and get our beautiful scallops started. So I'm going to need a plate for resting. Sorry about all the noise. Come back over here and give this a stirry stir. All right. Okay, so now we got this beautiful golden color there. That's done. That one is done. Ow. Our shrimpies. Those are done. So when you go to rest, the side that was down on the heated surface, you're going to want to make it the sunny side up. So make sure you flippy it over. And now I'm going to get this pan going. Now it's going to have plenty of flavor in there from the lemon and the salt and the caramelization of the fish. I like a harder sear on my fish, but it's okay. Could be worse. All right. So when it comes to scallops, here's our scallops. What we want to do is we want to just give them a pat, give them a blot, give them a light blot. Don't mash them, and don't abuse them. Just give it a light pat, kind of like giving it a high five before you send them off to their doom. So now that the pan is ready and hot, we're going to give them some salt. Salt it side down first. We don't want to crowd the pan, so that's why we only have 3 scallops each. Because realistically, I could eat scallops all day, but just there's a point where it can just be too much. So there we have that. I'm going to discard all this nonsense because that's no longer food safe. Let's fatty that off. Now this brand is Hell's Handle, the brand of my fish fat. This is a different one from the other one. The other one I think came from Wish. I don't know how it ended up in my knife kit. I think somebody stuck it in the wrong knife bag at one of my former places of employment. Okay, so here we have that. So that is nice and ready to go. So we're gonna help move this around. We're gonna take a gander at what it looks like. We're not there yet as far as color goes. Just let them do its thing. Risotto is gorgeous. I do need to get a spoon and just taste it, make sure that it doesn't be adjusted. Whoopsie. Hello, dog. Little Cindy Lou. Oh man, that's got some beautiful flavor. That salmon really kicks it up. So yes, you don't have stock. It's got a bunch of salmon belly in the freezer. Dig that shit out, throw it in there, dice it up into little small dices, and let it get happy. It actually tastes really good. I feel like it needs more cheese though. All right, no, put that back over. All right, don't touch it, Suey. You're being impatient. I'm sure everybody's like, "Where's Livy? I thought she said 6 o'clock. Here we are. We're hungry." All right, so I'm gonna add a little bit more cheese to this. I just feel like it needs just one more knob of cheese. One more little knob. And we're just gonna foldy, foldy, foldy. Loosen it up just a little smidge. There we go. All right, so scallops get the sweet aroma to them when it's time to flip them over. At least to me, they do. So there's some nice, a little bit of a nice sear. That one doesn't have a sear on it. That one doesn't either. I might not have patted these enough. Oh, there's a nice one. All right, there's a beautiful one. I like mine to have nice beautiful caramelization. Yeah, not horrible, but all right. Spoony spoon. There was a big spoon up here underneath the top. Okay. Oh, yeah. All right. Move this shit out of the way. All right. All right. Let's go for it. Now we're going to go for the plating. Go for the plating. And I found microgreens. I found microgreens. So there are all sorts. It's an assortment. So going to. Wish I had a better bowl. All right. All right. Go with that. One, two. Now, if you wanted, you could put a little smidge of nutmeg. Mm, delightful. All right. There we go. Put that aside. Now, going to take our fish, put our fish right on top. I'm just gonna put two there. That's the prettier one. And one over here up front. We're just gonna, I think I put 5 shrimps each. Go. And two. And one up front. Put the shrimps in the corner. Like so. And then we're gonna take some greens. We're just gonna just sprinkle them just like so. And a couple of little micro lemon wedges. And let's see here. And a piece of bread. Gotta have that lemon in there so that you can have a little bit of acidity for your seafood. Just like so. And this is local a local bread, and it's sun-dried tomato. And normally I would grill it, but I'm not into grilled bread right now. Like so. And there we have it. And so we're gonna give you the money shot real quick. And there we have it. Seafood risotto. All right, Munchie Mafia. So what we've learned from that is uh, absolutely nothing. So I will see you all in a little bit for the premiere. Sorry we're late. Didn't want to come. Kidding. Um, See you in a bit. Bye, Munchie Mafia.